All right, welcome back everybody. So this week we're looking at the Surfprep and Merca sander versus the Dewalt and the Bosch. We're gonna find out what the difference is between a $500 sander and a $50 sander. Let's get to it. All right, so before we get into the video, I want to make a few caveats and say first off that there's nothing wrong with a $50 sander. If you're not sanding more than 8 hours a week, you may not need this. But what I'm going to do is we're going to cut through all the technical mumbo jumbo that this has better bearings, better blah blah blah, and I'm just going to show you a legit test on how much faster a expensive sander cuts versus a lower end sander. All right, now how we do this is what I've done is I've taken two panels, well, more than two, 4 panels, and I ran them through my helical head planer and I took 5/1000ths of an inch off, okay? And then I've put a water-based dye on it. Now what this does is when I start sanding this, it's going to show all those mill marks. It's what's called as a trace coat. And a lot of guys did this in the car industry, and I actually picked this up from a good friend, Bob Close and Charles Neal. And so what it does is once those mill marks are gone, you're done sanding. Now they work with a lot of figured woods, and you're going to pre-dye those anyway to get the figure to pop and all that. So anyway, you're going to see kind of a new technique if you've never heard of trace coating. And this is how I stumbled onto the difference between sanders. Is I bought several sanders and I put the trace coat on them and I started sanding and I saw real quickly the difference. So without further ado, let's get into the test. Okay, so just so that this is equal, what I'm going to do is I'm just going to use my little downdraft table and I'm not going to hook in the central vac because I don't have a hose that fits the little Dewalt sanders. So I want this to be a fair competition, so we're just going to do it without it. So what I'm going to do is, and not to bore you to tears, is my pattern is going to be, I'm going to run up this way and do about a 50 to 75% overlap on my sanding mark, and then I'll go back evenly this way with my sander, with both sanders. And I'm going to use the same abrasive. So I'm going to start with a new 120 and then go to a 150, and we're going to see how much of those mill marks are left. Now I'm going to stop after the 120 and I'm going to show you how a trace coat can help you sand if you're doing whitewood sanding. Okay, so this is after a 120. Now you can see all the mill marks in here, and you can see where I really need to change out, rotate my cutter head because I've got a continuous line on all my boards that keeps going there. There's a chip or something in it. But that's good. You guys can really see what's going on. All right, now I'm going to hit this with 150, and we're going to see how much of these mill marks are left, and then we'll do the Dewalt, and then I've already done the Bosch and the Merca, and we're going to look at the results. Okay, so this is our final with that. Now as you can see, we have a mill mark that runs across here that's left. We have just a little bit on this corner and a little bit right here in this corner. All right, so what we're going to do is I'm going to measure this out and measure what's left, and then we're going to take a percentage of the mill marks that's left over so that you can see the difference, okay? So let me go ahead and do the one with the Dewalt real quick, and then we'll come back and we'll look at each one. So somebody doesn't think these are brand new, never been used, as you can see, but we're going to put on the Dewalt. Okay, so that's the first pass with the Dewalt. Not too bad. I've got a lot of mill marks over here and stuff, and I guarantee you that's not going to come out. Did take out some there in the center. All right, so let's put our 150 paper on there, and then we're going to finish this off, and then we're going to compare all 4 of the sanders. All right, so what I did to calculate this was I took the square footage of the board and then I marked off where there still was defects or planer marks. And then I measured those, and then I made the percentages based on that. So for instance, the Surfprep was 8 3/8 by 13, which gave me 0.75 square feet. And then adding the defects areas together was at 0.20, which gave me a 26% defect rate. So I did that for all the boards, and that's where these numbers come from. So let's take a look at each board. All right, so the Surfprep was at a 26% defect. The Bosch was at a 65% defect. The Merca was at a 33% defect. And the Dewalt was at a 52% defect. So as you can see, both the Surfprep and the Merca sanders cut substantially faster with the same grit paper than a $50 sander. So let me give you my final thoughts on this. All right, so what's my final thoughts? Well, I think it's a no-brainer. As you can see, let's kind of review it. So the Bosch left 65% defects left on the wood. The Dewalt left 52%. The Surfprep was at 26%, and the Merca Saros was at 33%. So if you average that out, and let's just say it's plus or minus 10, I mean, legitimately, you're looking at realistically between 25 and 30% savings on your sanding per day if you use the Surfprep sander or a Merca type sander. So I'll let you guys run the math on whatever it is that you charge per hour, but that's your savings. So then you got to decide for yourself if this $50 sander is really the cheaper alternative. My opinion is it isn't. Now, if you can't afford one of these, I understand, but if you're sanding enough, you just need to go buy one. It's a complete no-brainer. And then you get into the other things where you got way less vibration. It's more ergonomic sanding with it, and all the other stuff that Surfprep talks about, and you know how long the tool is going to hold up. But I just wanted to look at it from a pure effectiveness standing, and let you guys be the judge. All right, so I hope you liked the video. Make sure you like and subscribe. You can catch me on Instagram and Facebook. Remember, test, don't guess. We'll catch you next week.